that that uh, uh, that I think most of our students have already joined, and I want to thank from my department, that is English department of Lalgore Government College, for sharing your valuable time with us. And I would uh, request our OIC sir to say something about this lecture series. Over to OIC sir.
Okay, as I have been telling in this lecture series, obviously before I start, let me greet each of the participants who are present here. The students from our college, the students from Gwalior College who have uh, made it possible to snatch some time from their schedule and to join this lecture. Good morning to all of you. We have developed this or organized this lecture series in order to orient our students about the broader aspects uh, of a particular text and situating that text in a particular scenario and context, so that the students can learn not only the textual matters but also the contextual matters and the socio-historical or cultural aspects which contribute to the writing of this or the production of those texts. So this is our aim developing this particular lecture series, and we have done it. This is the fourth one. We have done three lectures previously on mm, on the Mahabharata, on the we'll be
Hello.
calling this text the Woman in White. Then we have done it in Alam's own house
Shawnee, হ্যাঁ বলো
yesterday,
বলো
and today Shovan Maity, assistant professor of Gwalior College, who is popularly known as Gwalior College, but Santal Bidroho Shatavarshiki Mahavidyalaya, will be delivering his talk on
হ্যাঁ
Swami
হ্যাঁ
and
হ্যাঁ
Friends
আচ্ছা আমি একটু
and
পরেই
Indian
সেন্ড করছি,
writing in
হ্যাঁ আমি
English.
এখানে পরে সেন্ড করছি।
So I thank you,
গ্রুপে
Shovan,
আছে আমার কাছে।
from
ওকে।
the core of my heart for making it possible in such a quick time, and this is so kind of you that you agree to my request. So I welcome you. I would like to welcome you better when in the post-pandemic period in our college. But for the time being, let it be a virtual welcome to you and the students of your college who will be attending this lecture. So I now request Doifan to say a few words before Shravan Mayati begins his talk.
Thank you, sir, for your kind words. Now we would welcome our respected guest, Professor Shovan Maity, and he is assistant professor in English at Shantal Bidroho Sharda Shatavarshiki Mahavidyalaya, Gwalior, Paschim Medinipur, and he is also a guest faculty at PG English Evening Section of Vidyasagar University, Midnapur. Now I would request Professor Maity to start his lecture on R.K. Narayan's novel Swami and Friends. Sir, it is over to you.
Uh,
Okay,
I just want to
yes.
say something. Just a minute. I
Sure, sure.
just want to say something that uh, I I am telling you all that I will not be able to say up to the end of it. Okay. So whenever some works of from our from our department, I may leave. Okay. So this is my uh, information for you. I will try as soon as that work will be over. I will come back. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So you can start now.
Yes. Thank you. Good morning to all. I would like to convey my deepest gratitude to the Honorable Officer in Charge, Government General Degree College, Lalgore, Professor Vishweshwar Chakraborty, and who was one of my favorite teachers also during my college days. Thank you, sir, for inviting me, and also I am fortunate to respond to your call. and thank you the organizers for inviting me, and I am also very happy to be a part of your lecture series. So thanking you all, and also last but sure not the least, my dear students who have chosen to be live with us today for this lecture, but it is not a lecture. I don't know how do I respond to this matter. So thanking you all, I would like to begin uh, today's topic, that is R.K. Narayan's Swami and Friends. It's a classroom lecture, or what we may call a classroom study. We all know that R.K. Narayan is one of the greatest writers that Mother India has ever produced. And he has often been described as the man of absolutely authentic and pomposity. So many epithets have been used against him. He sometimes has been called a writer of loud, lucid, understated, but wonderfully expressive style. A writer's he has sometimes been called. And we know that along with two other great giants in Indian English novels, namely Mulkraj Anand and Raja Rao, R.K. Narayan has formed the great trio, and they have been proved as the three big banyan tree of Indian English writing, especially in Indian English novel. To eulogize R.K. Narayan, it is V.S. Naipal in his famous book, The Master of Small Things. He has described him as that with his goals and limitations, R.K. Narayan is the Gandhi of modern Indian literature. So you know Gandhi, the figure like Gandhi, Gandhi of modern Indian English literature or modern Indian literature. This very particular novel, that is Swami and Friends, it is the first novel by R.K. Narayan. So R.K. Narayan had started his prolific writing career with this novel, which is written and published in 1935. And this particular novel is one of the first three fictional works that marked a new phase in the development of the Indian English novels. Mulkraj Anand's Untouchable, which is published in 1935, Raja Rao's Kanthapura, 1938. So around the same time, this novel is also published. Narayan's mentor come guide and also friend, Graham Greene. You know, Graham Greene is very much has played a role, or he's instrumental in getting published his most of the novels. He has said about this particular novel that this novel, Swami and Friends, is is shown the remarkable maturity and one of the finest promise, and is the boldest gamble a novelist can take. So I'm quoting from Graham Greene. So in this very particular novel, what we have seen? We have seen the rainbow world of childhood, the socio-political background of pre-independent India, and the early boyhood of the boys like Swami, who is growing up in the interior of southern India. So it is a picture of southern India. And while we are reading the text, we feel nostalgic, as if we are going back to our school days. So the memories of the school days have become vibrant while we have reading, or we have been reading this very particular text. So in this very novel, we have also seen Narayan's own experience of his school days, and we, the readers, have get a vivid portrayal of thoughts, emotions, and activities of schoolboys. And it is though everyday reality has taken over, has been painstakingly sketched by R.K. Narayan in an universal scale. So a particular picture has become a universal one, and it has been given an epical dimension. So not only that, in this very novel, we have also seen the intermingling of cultures. So we all know that India is a land of diverse diversity, diverse cultures are there, different peoples of various colors and caste, creed, etc. So different types of people met with each other in this very particular novel. And also so many types of languages has been introduced here. So another important thing that Narayan has introduced with us, the use of Indian English. So the Indianization of English language, it is very, from the linguistic perspective, it has become a one of the greatest achievement by R.K. Narayan. So if we look at this novel in this manner, that it is a tale related to the child, but it would be a mistaken one. We know that the novel is more than a story of a child. It is a story of a generation of Indians who are born and brought up in the shadow of British Raj, British colonial Raj. And what is the result of remaining or staying at that very particular time, that is in British Raj, that the people have inherited a kind of confusions of the culture and social conflict. So they have not decided whether it is right or wrong. So they are in the middle state, in betweenness. So the liminal condition of the people had been sketched here also. And the novelist R.K. Narayan has given a bleak or negative picture of the colonial authority and unambiguously shows that how the Indians are passionate to have freedom. So how they are struggling for freedom. Even the child or the child like Swami, he is not stayed away from such kind of political scenario. He has also joined in this freedom movement, nationalistic movement. So in this novel, Narayan not only brings the life of the school children, but they are growing up and also represents the contemporary history of pre-independence struggle, Indian freedom movement. So this is all about the novel. Now for the understanding of the for the better understanding of the storyline particularly, I'd like to share my screen so that you can have a better look of this. So let me be just a minute. Yeah, I think it's visible to you. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes. So, Swami and Friends by R.K. Narayan. A brief biography of R.K. Narayan. You know the full name of R.K. Narayan is Rashipuram Krishna Swami Ayar Narayana Swami, simply called R.K. Narayan. And he is one of the most celebrated Indian novelists writing in English. And this master storyteller was born on October 10, 1906 in Madras, which is now called Chennai. So his father is a school teacher, and he took the name R.K. Narayan at the suggestion of his close friend, you know, the great author Graham Greene, the British author. And in the school, he has learned Tamil and English. He did his initial studies at the residence of his grandmother and eventually moved to Mysore with his parents when his father got appointed as headmaster of Maharaja's High School in Mysore. Narayan has earned his bachelor's degree from the University of Mysore and went to the United States in 1956 at the invitation of the Rockefeller Foundation. His literary career began with his short stories, which appeared in the Hindu newspaper, and he began to work as the Mysore correspondent of Justice. It is a Madras-based newspaper, and this prolific writer died on May 13, 2001. So this is the big bio note, but I have not discussed the literary career. Now about his literary career, you all know that He's a giant figure in Indian English writing. He has written almost 15 novels. Among them are Swami and Friends, Bachelor of Arts, The English Teacher, The Guide, The Man-Eater of Malgudi. So all these things are there. Apart from novels, he has published 6 non-fiction works, namely Next Sunday, The Dateless Diary, My Days, Reluctant Guru. He is also the writer of mythological books. 3 mythological books he has written: Gods, Demons and Others, the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. Apart from all these works, he has published 6 collections of short stories: Malgudi Days, An Astrologer's Day and Other Stories, Under the Banyan Tree and Other Stories, and The Grandmother's Tale and Selected Today, etc. So look at the very literary career, how much creation he has created throughout his life. Now, such kind of character, such kind of writer, such writer of that stature has received so many awards and honors from the various organizations. He won the Sahitya Academy Award in 1958 for his famous novel The Guide, Padma Bhushan in 1964 for distinguished service to literature, A.C. Benson Medal by Royal Society of Literature in 1980. He was an honorary member of the American Academy and Institute of Arts and Letters in 1982. He has been nominated to the Rajya Sabha, which is the upper house of the Parliament of India, in 1989. And in addition to these, he had so many honorary doctorate degrees has been conferred upon him from the University of Mysore, Delhi University, University of Leeds, etc. And he was awarded Padma Vibhushan in 2000. So these are the awards and honors that he has received throughout his career. Now, about his writing style, Narayan's writings is known for his lucid and simple style, and his novels are characterized by Chekhovian simplicity and gentle humor. You have already, or you have known that who is Anton Chekhov. So Chekhovian simplicity and gentle humors are there in his novels, and he told his stories in a very simple, down-to-earth manner. And the characters of his novels are very ordinary, down-to-earth Indian persons, Indian people who are trying to blend tradition with modernity and sometimes resulting in tragicomic situation. So his writing style is unpretentious, witty, and a unique flavor, as if he were writing in native tongue. So this is the mastery of R.K. Narayan, that he has simplified English language in such a manner that as if we have read or we are reading a work of or written in our native tongue. So Indianization of English, Indian English. So his easygoing outlook on life has sometimes been criticized by the critics, though in general he is viewed as an accomplished, sensitive, and reasonably prolific writer. Now the setting of this novel, not only this novel, but like other novels or most of the novels, the setting of this novel is also the fictional town called Malgudi. And this Malgudi is the fictional counterpart of Thomas Hardy's Wessex and William Faulkner's Oknapathwa. So Malgudi here is not only a metaphor of colonial India, it is a place of anywhere and everywhere in this world. And often a question has been asked to R.K. Narayan that where is Malgudi, and he has given the answer that it is imaginary and not to be found on any map. But Malgudi is related to India through two symbolic spaces. So it is not totally a fictional creation or it's an imaginary creation. It has two very symbolic connection. That is, first the Sariju river, signifying an umbilical cord relating to Malgudi to history, and the second is the railway station, standing for Malgudi connection to a border space. Now, what is the significance of Malgudi? You know, Malgudi is a counter space. It is a kind of counter attack. Attack in the sense that you have perhaps you have heard the name Rudyard Kipling. He has sketched India, and he has shown that India is a romantic playground of the British Raj. And also another important novel related to India, that is E.M. Forster's Passage to India, where India has been sketched as a model, as a land of model and mystery. So these two novels, Scheme and Passage to India. We have seen the portrayal of India from Occidental point of view, from Westerners' point of view. But for the first time, R.K. Narayan has sketched from Oriental point of view. So Malgudi here played the role of a counter space or counter attack against such kind of picturization of India. So here Narayan's Malgudi is the playground of Indian children, while the simple story aims at demystifying India. Now we move to the characters that we have found in Swami and Friends. The first character, who is also the central character of this novel, is Swami. His full name is Swaminathan. He is a child of 7 years old, and like all other child, of typical Indian child rather, he also does not hesitate telling lies to his father, and he loves his granny's story. He is good at cricket, and he is nicknamed as Tay. And he saw the revolutionary phase of Indian independence. Later in the course of the novel, we have seen that he has become bolder and significantly prominent. Now the next character is Swami's father. Swami's father is a lawyer by profession. He is a stern fellow, authoritarian, but caring. He is not always a stern and authoritarian. He is caring also. He is a caring father. He is always worried about his son's studies, like a typical father from Indian subcontinent, and he encourages him to study hard and hard. Sometimes he is over strict, but later in the novel we have seen that he has very soft corners for the well-being of his son. Next character is Swami's mother. Like all other mothers, she is also in charge of Swami's house, and to her she is materially and emotionally attached. Swami's mother defends Swami in his arguments with his father. However, her appearances are occasional. So we have not seen much appearance in this novel. She is a character that Swami misses the most when she runs away from the house. While we read the summary, then we have get these points. Next character is Swami's grandmother. Swami's grandmother is described as a sweet and sleepy lady, and she is called Granny in this novel. She is a religious and superstitious woman. She tells Swami that stories from the past, and her relationship with Swami changes throughout the novel. So their relationship is quite changing, sometimes good and sometimes bad also. Swami's younger brother, she is the newcomer of this house, and he is born in the midway through the novel, and he is only sibling to Swami. However, this character has no major role, as he remains a child throughout the novel. Now, the character Mr. Avenger, he is the representative of colonialism or British imperialism. He is the scriptures teacher of Swami in Albert Mission School, and he belongs to the Western side or British side. So he is a Christian fanatic and degrades Swami's religion, that is Hinduism, and consider Christianity superior to other religions. So you know, he is a fanatic. So he believes that his religion is superior to all others. Later in the novel, we have seen he has been scolded by the headmaster of this school, for such kind of behavior with the students. Now about Swami's friends, as it has sketched the myriad shades of Swami's friends. First friend that we have discussed here is Razam. Razam is the new kid at the Albert Mission School and is Swami's rival turned the best friend. First, he has appeared as the rival to Swami, but as the situation changes, as the stories move on, we have seen that he has become a best friend, one of the best friends of Rajan. Razam is good at studies. He speaks English like a European, and he is the son of the police superintendent of Malgudi. And for being a son of a police superintendent, he has earned a kind of respect and attention from the school. He is a witty fellow, fearless one, and it is his idea, it is the idea of Razam to start a cricket team. In the course of the novel, we have seen there is a cricket team that has been formed, and it is the person who is responsible for informing this cricket team is Razam. Now the next character is Moni, another close friend of Swami. Moni is described as the mighty good for nothing fellow. Good for nothing, you know the phrase good for nothing. He is a bold, stout and strong figure in this class, and he is not good at studies, bhalo porashonoy noy, and purposefully slacks off, but he likes fighting. You know, we have encountered such kind of character in our class. So one character, one or two, or maybe different in number, that they are stout, bold, they are not very intelligent, they are not very good at studies, but they are always on the way of their fighting and etc. So no one dares to challenge him, even the teachers also. So Moni likes to dominate the whole class and also bully some of his classmates. Somu is the class monitor of Swami's class. He is also one of the friends from Albert Mission School. And as he is a class monitor, so Swami calls him the uncle of the class. So we have given so many nicknames to our fellow friends. So one of the nickname is the uncle of the class. Now the character is Shankar. Shankar is also a classmate. He is the most brilliant boy of the class. Class সবচেয়ে ভালো ছেলেটি হলো Shankar. Swami admires Shankar's intellect and takes his guidance, and he valorizes Shankar always. To Swami, Shankar is a god-like figure. Later he leaves Malgudi as his father is transferred to another town. Now Samuel, he has also a nickname, and his nickname is the P. He is one of the friends and classmates of Swami. So both remain friends as they both play cricket together, and Samuel is the only Christian friend of Swami. So we have seen that so many myriad types of characters have been sketched. Mostly they are under 10. So they are close friends with each other. Now we move to the summary part of this novel. We know the novel has been divided into 19 sections, and from the earliest or the starting point to the last, the story is eye-getting, intriguing, and we can't move away from the story. Now we come to the first chapter, which is titled as Monday Morning. So we begin that a young boy named Swami wakes up on Monday morning in the town of Malgudi in South India. He rushes through his homework at his desk in his father's room, and then goes to the Albert Mission School, where he is bored throughout most of his classes. So he doesn't like the classes and the routine bound life. Swami gets a bad grade in his mathematics homework, and then in his scripture class, the scripture teacher is Mr. Ebenja, gets into an argument with his teacher, Mr. Ebenja, a Christian fanatic. Swami is offended at his teacher's dismal of the value of Hinduism and arrives at school the next day carrying a letter from his father. As the teacher Avenger has scolding Swami regarding the Hinduism, so Swami has complained to his father, and the father has written a letter to the Albert Mission School headmaster, in which the father complains to the headmaster that the school does not welcome Christian boys. Now the Swami tells about all these things, that his father has written a letter to the headmaster and all these things, and they have enjoyed this very situation. And the boys are, who are the boys, to who are the friends, that we have discussed in the character list, is that the Somu, the friendly class monitor; Moni, the powerful but lazy bully; Shankar, the most brilliant boy of the class; and a small boy nicknamed as P, who is Samuel. These are the friend circle. First, Razam and Moni has not been included here in the first chapter. Who is not remarkable, so etc. Later in the day, the headmaster scolds Avenger, but also tells Swami not to report incidents to his father in the future, saying that the boys should instead turn to the headmaster with any problems. If there is any problem, you can tell me first rather to go to your father. So he has warned them. So in this way, first chapter has come to an end. Now chapter 2, which is entitled as Razam and Moni. On the subsequent evening, Swami and Moni sit on the banks of Sarju river, discussing a classmate named Razam, whom Moni wishes to throw into the river. It becomes clear that Razam is known in the school as a kind of rival to Moni. So why Moni wishes to throw Razam? Because Razam has become rival to Moni due to his fearlessness, intelligence and wealth. Moni তার সঙ্গে এটে উঠতে পারছে না. Now Razam's father, he has also another identity, that Razam's father is the superintendent of police. So Swami, in this very situation, Swami has taken the side of Moni, that I am with you, don't worry. So when they return to school, Swami begins to acting as a go-between of the two rivals. So two rivals is there. On the one hand, Razam and Moni, and Swami is in the middle. He's a common friend. He wants to mitigate the situation. But you know, rivalry is growing on. Is growing. Eventually, they decide to who will be the superior. So they have decided to meet for a fight in the banks of the river Sarju to see who is more powerful. But when the actual time of fight comes, Razam suggests that put aside our differences. So be friends with each other. And to which everybody is very happy that they have become friends. So everybody is delighted, including Swami, that they have become friends. Their rivalry has ended and become friends, and they have become powerful. A powerful group has been constructed. Now the third chapter, where we have introduced with Swami's grandmother, the granny, who is a talkative fellow, garrulous woman. She loves to offer her collection of stories to her grandchildren, and Swami feels safe and secure in her company. Swami excitedly describes Razam to Granny, although she tries to tell him stories of his own grandfather's similarly impressive accomplishment. But Swami refuses to listen. When Swami is trying to say about Razam to grandmother would not like to hear him. Instead, she would like to narrate the story of his grandfather, who is also a astounding character like Razam. But on a Saturday shortly thereafter, Swami ignores his grandmother's request to spend time with her, and instead he goes to Moni to Razam's house, where they are impressed by the luxurious home, numerous toys, delicious food, so etc. So many attractive things are there, including foods. So Razam and Moni and Swami had gone to Razam's house. Now chapter 4, The title is very interesting. The title is What is a Tale? So back at the school, Swami runs into his three old friends rather, Somu, Shankar and the P. But he has seen a change in them, that they are unfriendly to him and make a joke about a tale. Somu, Shankar and P, the Samuel, has called Swami that you are a tail to Razam. তুমি চামচা হয়ে গেছিস তুই রাজমের। So a tale, it is a very derogatory remark. And at first Swami has not caught the very joke, but when he comes to know about the joke, that he is very offended and it is a shock to him. So the rejection by his friends is a first shock in Swami's life, and he reflects miserably on how quickly people can change. So at home he makes a paper boat, so he feels lonely and melancholic also. And at home, returning at home, he has made a paper boat and puts an ant on it and then watches as the boat is consumed in a flood of water. So we are reminding of our own childhood days or early boyhood, that we are making boat out of a paper and we have thrown it or put it into the water and putting an on it, etc., etc. So we are doing all these things. And here we can remind also Wordsworth the preludes. So here the childhood activities will be in this very particular poem, the preludes by William Wordsworth. Such kind of details are there. So Swami's friends continue to ignore him, and the school becomes an increasingly miserable place or painful experience for Swami. Now in chapter 5, the title is Father's Room. That on another Saturday, Swami excitedly prepares for Razam to visit his house, and he anxiously orders his father, mother, grandmother that now Swami has invited Razam to come to his house, and for this purpose he has ordered his father, his mother, grandmother to behave properly, to cook through various preparations so that everything will be okay. And Razam even charms Granny with his story, and we know that the next time Swami attends school and he has been mocked at by his old friends P, Shankar, Somu. So by telling him that you are Razam's tail, you have forgotten me, you have forgotten us, so you have got your new friend, so we are now like dust, throwing in the dustbin. So all these things have been told to Swami, and Swami feel very bad at all these remarks. Now chapter 6, which is the name of this chapter is A Friend in Need. So in chapter 5 we have seen that Swami has become lonely because his old friends has rejected him. Now this situation has been mended. How? 3 weeks later, Swami and Moni go to Razam's house again, and this time, because Swami told them, he had a surprise for them. And when they arrive, they have seen that already there are Somu, Shankar and P present. So all of them are elated to see this, and this division between friendship has joined again, and all of them has formed a good atmosphere. And it is Razam who has given so many gifts to the children, and they have taken this and go to their home. So all of them have become united. Now chapter 7 is called A New Arrival. In this chapter we have seen Swami's brother has born, and but to Swami his brother is hardly anything, because he is a very small boy, so he has nothing to say about him. But the P assures him that the boy is still growing up quickly, so don't worry about this. Now chapter 8, it is the chapter which titled as Before the Examinations. So in April, Swami and his classmates have only 2 weeks before their school exams, and they have stopped meeting with each other. Their fathers have compelled them to study constantly. So Swami only feels that his efforts were worthwhile if his father became happy of his results. But shortly before the exam, Swami makes a list of supplies. পরীক্ষার আগে অনেক কিছু জিনিসের রিকোয়ারমেন্টস তার বাবাকে দিয়েছে, যে আই নিড সাম rubber, pencil box, pen, so many things, but his father scolds him and refuses him to give all these things, to money to buy these things, and order him that you have to take these supplies from our desk, so don't waste your time in buying all these things. Now in chapter 9, title of this chapter is school breakup. So the exam is over, final exam is over, last day of the examination, final examination is over, and he's worried that he has finished faster than his friends. His friends are already still writing, but he has finished. So sometimes such kind of feelings also we have felt, that if you have stopped before them, then a kind of anxiousness that has engulfed you, that I have missed so many things. But this worry quickly turns excitement as other students also finish and form a joyful crowd to celebrate the end of the school. So porikha hoye geche, final exam, so they are in a celebration mode. It's a party time. So the group of the boys destroys papers and ink bottles, creating happy chaos. What an oxymoronic phrase, happy chaos, until a school administrator breaks up their celebration. In chapter 10, which is titled as the coachman's son, so no school is there, exam is over. Now Swami realizes that he is much closer to Moni and Razam than his old friends Somu, Shankar and P. So he also wishes to get a hoop to play with, some money to a coachman who promises to get him one, only to realize that the coachman tricked him. So here a kind of foolish activities have been done, that he believed that a coachman has the ability to draw stone into a coin. So but he has been only hoodwinked by the coachman. So as he has been hoodwinked, so Razam forms a plan that we have to give him a lesson. So what is the plan? That they have planned that we have kidnapped coachman's son as a revenge. But the plan goes awry when the boy gets away and his neighbors attack Moni and Swami to chase them away. So sitting on the road outside the town and feeling frustrated, the three friends accost a young cart boy. The name of the boy is Karuppan, and they have frightened him as he is a very coward boy. So they have found the opportunity to frighten him by claiming that they are from government police. But we know that in the passage of time they have let him go. Now chapter 11, which is titled as In Father's Presence. So soon thereafter Swami's father begins to making him study, though there is no school, but his father has compelled him to make study again, but he doesn't like all these things. But he is not a very sturdy father, as I have already told you. Feeling sorry for Swami after a long day of work, Swami's father has taken him to a club in the evening. Swami has enjoyed a much, but his enjoyment has been curtailed at the very vision of this very particular coachman's son. কারণ সে জানে যে coachman's son যদি সুযোগ পায়, he can attack him. So he is in a very frightened mode, and he has only been relaxed after leaving the party in this club. Chapter 13, the chapter is titled as Broken Pen, and in this chapter we have been introduced the Indian politics or political intrusion here by R.K. Narayan. It is the month of August. Swami and Moni find themselves in the midst of a protest for Indian independence. So moved by the speaker, Swami and Moni swear to support India against England and boycott all English goods. With Swami even burning his cap. Swami has he is wearing a cap and he has burnt it when someone suggests that it is a foreign made thing. The next day Swami is nervous about not wearing a cap to school, and he finds a crowd of protesters blocking entrance to their school, and the group says that the school is cancelled due to this boycott because of the imprisonment of a famous Indian political worker, and Swami gets caught up in breaking windows. So the agitation has become out of control, and they have thrown the pebbles to the window panes of the schools, and they have broken all these things, and Swami is astonished to see all these things. And in the meantime, what they have seen Razam's father, who is the superintendent of police. He orders his policemen to violently disperse the crowd, and this very sight is a sorry sight for Swami. So later his father expresses sympathy for the protesters, but scolds Swami for losing his cap by saying him that the cap is not a foreign made, it is typically an Indian made thing. So for the first time, Swami has encountered a political protest and its naked reality. To what extent it can go. So these are the first political experience that has been there in chapter 13. Chapter 12. Chapter 13 is named after the MCC. You know, MCC is not mean Melbourne Cricket Club. It is Malgudi Cricket Club. So 6 weeks later, Razam finds that it is the idea of Razam that they have to form a cricket team. And as Swami is a good cricket player, so he has become a good bowler also, and he has been nicknamed as State. So you know, they have formed a cricket team in this Albert Mission School. And you know, Swami discovers that the workload of the boarding school, and in the meantime Swami has been shifted from Albert Mission School to boarding school, and in the boarding school he has faced so many workloads that he couldn't have find any kind of practice time. So he has requested his headmaster to let him go earlier so that he can practice, but he has not allowed him. Headmaster ignores their request, and Razam eventually gives up his effort. And in chapter 15, this is the chapter before the match. A match has been scheduled with MCC and other local team, but Swami is still not able to get enough practice. He is trying to find out the time, but he has not been able to manage the situation. Now he has encountered a physician named Dr. Kesavan, and he requested him that please do something for me, please request in favor of me to my headmaster so that he can let me go before the school time, so etc. But you know, Dr. Kesavan has not done anything, but Swami thought that he has managed. So when Swami has been caught red-handed by his headmaster that why you are leaving the school before time, he is taken aback, and it is the headmaster who wanted to cane the Swami, but Swami has taken the cane from him and thrown it away, and he has seen that it is a kind of audacity. And if Swami's father has come to know about this situation, about this event, then he might be angry and let him, it would be very impossible to live with him in the family. So having feared all these things, Swami has decided to run away. Badi theke chole jete chaichilo, run away. Now chapter 16, Swami disappears. So fearing the inimical danger from his father, Swami wanders the town alone late at night. Swami has disappeared from the scenario, and Swami's father, who is anxious, he wanders the town alone at night looking for Swami, but Swami has not been found. In his house, his mother and his granny has become very anxious, worried about him. Now, when all possible places has been looked into, still Swami has not been found. So Swami's father has peered into the Saraju river if Swami has drowned, but not finding him, he continues to walk along the rail lines. Now in chapter 17, it is the chapter which is titled as the day of the match. So you know, Swami is not present in the day of the match. So the narration returns to Swami. Swami has lost his way, and Swami now thought that he has done a foolish job by leaving the house for such a trivial problem. Now he wanted to wishes to go back to home, but he has lost the way, and he has now in a hallucination that perhaps he has been attacked by animals and he falls unconscious, a fantasy of winning the cricket match. Now chapter 18 is the return. The title of the chapter is the return. The next morning, a cartman can Ranga, he finds Swami in the road and takes him to the district forest, and in this way he has been he's been taken to the father in his home. Now Moni has narrated all the events, what has happened in the cricket match. So he has said that Razam is furious for not being present in this furious at Swami for not being present at the cricket match. So Swami resolves to speak with Razam next day to repair their friendship. Now chapter 19, this is the concluding chapter of this novel. The title is Parting Present. So 10 days later, Swami still has not spoken with Razam due to the fear of his reaction. However, he has learned that Razam's father has been transferred and his family is about to move away. So Swami searches his possessions for a going away present. So he wanted to give a gift, that is a goodbye gift. So he has given a book of fairy tales for him, but he has not the courage and guts to give it or to hand it to Razam. So he asked help from Moni, please help me to give the book to Razam. Now Razam seems to say something to Swami. Razam is already boarded the train, and Swami wanted to has just given the book, that is the book of fairy tales, the parting gift, and he wanted to say something, but the sound of the noise of the train had jeopardized the situation. But Moni tells Swami that Razam has his address and he can write to him. But Swami is unsure if Moni is telling the truth or not. So in this way, the novel has come to an end with a parting note that, and is a question mark also, whether they have been met in future or not, whether Swami has written a letter to him or not, whether Moni's words, that is, he has left his address to him or not. So all these things are there. Now I would like to discuss some of the symbols in this novel. First symbol that I would like to discuss, that is Swami's cap. You know, the cap is a symbol of protest, and protest in the sense that it is important that he has thrown, and he has not only thrown, he has burned the cap in a sign of protest against the British colonizers. And when a bystander has called that the cap is made of the foreign things, so as a part of protest, part of boycott, Swami has thrown into it. So though he is a child, he has grown into himself a kind of political sensibility that we have found in the adult. So the cap thus underscores Narayan's points that Swami's actions are tied to political context, even when he is only able to engage with that context in a childish and haphazard way. You know, this is a childish one. He has not known that it is not a foreign-made cap, it is a Indian-made cap. So all these things are, but his intention has to be given in prime importance here. Now the next symbol is the symbol of cricket. You know, see, the cricket is a reminder of the colonial presence in India. Cricket is a gift of the colonizers to us. And here cricket is also a symbol of competition among the boys, competition among the groups. And it is Razam who has been attached to the cricket emotionally, and he thought that victory is an important goal in his life. So cricket is the thing which can assimilate the friends and also divide, has made conflict between Razam and Swami, as Swami has not been present in the day of the cricket match. Now the next symbol is the cane. The cane is the symbol of authority. It is some who wanted to cane him in order to show his superiority, his authority, to suppress the other, quote unquote, to suppress the downtrodden, to suppress the lower, the persons who belongs to the lower strata, lower rung of the society. But throwing away of the cane from the hands of the teacher, it is also an act of. So it also symbolizes freedom. Swami wanted to get free from the clutches of such kind of repressive figures. So the cane is a symbol of protest as well as symbol of authority. Now escape motive is there. Swami is always wanted to escape, first from the Albert Mission School, then from Board High School, and towards the end of the novel we have seen that he wanted to escape from home, from family, from his father. So escape motive is very recurrent, and from these things we have a glimpse of the child psychology, that children are very much attracted to such kind of thing, escape. যে কোনো কিছু আমার মতো করে হচ্ছে না, I wanted to quit, I wanted to escape from that situation. So in the course of the novel we have seen that escape is Swami's usual method of dealing with the difficult and painful situation. When he couldn't confront the situation, couldn't face the real situation, he tries the very best and easy weapon, that is escape. But he often ends up getting lost and in a worse situation than before. But I am now requesting Rahulda, if you let me 10 more minutes, then I can analyze some of the thematic issues, 2 or 3 in very brief, if I have time or not.
You can continue your lecture.
Yes. Thank you. So now I am stopping my presentation. So the issues that we would like to discuss here, the main prominent issues like the projection of childhood, innocence, and child psychology. This is very important. You know that Narayan's development of child and childhood is very significant part in this very particular book, and Narayan has shown his compassion and empathy for the child. And in his famous book, My Days, Narayan has sketched his own childhood in a very thoughtful manner. So a thoughtful depiction of Narayan's own childhood has seen in My Days, and as it is seen in this present novel, Swami and Friends. Now Narayan's child battle, they are fighting with each other. They are fighting not for any kind of civil service examination or competitive examination. Rather, they are fighting for getting involved in the boyhood activities. So, in this very particular novel, we have seen an honest kind of portrayal of childhood. And in his school life, Narayan acquired a lifelong dislike for traditional formal education that has been offered in colonial India. And in the opening pages of Swami and Friends, we have seen this kind of description. The school is like a silent, jail-like atmosphere. And in this context, we can remember the film of Amir Khan, Tare Zameen Par, the character like Ishan, who is also not very he is also disliking the school, the dismal yellow building, etc. And his class teacher is not been liked by him also. And the monotonous class, the picture of monotonous classroom is also there in Hard Times by Charles Dickens. So all these things are there in several novels across the world. So the title, in this title, Swami and Friends, Narayan legitimized the boys' presence and boys' activities, because this is a story of the boys and for the boys. In this very story, what we have seen, every one of the scenes and occurrences of this novel, for example, Swami's tendency, his friendship, his activities, his responses, his fights, his connections with his mom, orthodox and exacting dad, his pretty grandma, educators, his school works, his preferences, abhorrences, assessments, and his argument mirror the narrative of any other schoolboy, and it has the universal picture of any other schoolboy. So Graham Greene has rightly pointed out that here Swami is not a boy, rather he is a child, because a child is an individual human creature, unlegitimized for getting a charge out of immediately, and unrehearsed sufficiency. So the spontaneity of a child has been shown, has been sketched, has been given in detail by R.K. Narayan in this very novel. And you know that Narayan has impressively portrayed the expectationally lovely, elated, creative mind of the child through the child characters of this novel. The children are pulled in towards in the chivalry, so they effectively go under the impression of other, and they likewise make them their good examples and attempt to tail them. So all these things have been truthfully sketched by R.K. Narayan. From primary novel, Narayan has presented his profound information on child psychology and examination of the child conduct and their creative fecundity or creative mind. And I am quoting from William Wallace. He has put it that the mental snappiness, the agility of discernment, the cool, untroubled examination of the child's temperament and mind, which can issue into unadulterated enjoyment, can likewise form into an idyllic feeling of the powers of the boy's understanding and profundity of his character. So a kind of idyllic atmosphere has been sketched. So through the aptitude of characterization, it is demonstrated that R.K. Narayan is at his best in the portrayal and projection of the rainbow universe of childhood and early boyhood. Narayan is a sharp spectator of childhood. He is a keen observer of childhood and observer of a keen observer of child psychology. He has left nothing in delineation of childhood in these novels. So everything of children is described in minute details. He portrays the scorns, likes, dislikes, distress, delights, boys' enjoyments, insignificant squabbles, the bullying of the boy, nuances of the boy. So all these things have been there in this novel. So he has likewise portrayed the psychology of the adult also. He has not only sketched the adults and he presents the universe of the grown-ups as appear to the children. So how the children has entered into the worlds of the grown-ups, into the worlds of the adults. So it is a kind of shift from innocence, stage of innocence to experience. We remember Songs of Innocence and Songs of Experience by William Blake. So it is a kind of shift, a change from the state of innocence to. Now another topic I'd like to discuss is that the presentation of typical Indian life. So Indianness of what are the Indian qualities, are the typical Indian qualities. You all know that the novel is written at the backdrop of Indian freedom movement, freedom struggle, and the setting of the novel is very much Indian, a typical Indian setting, that is Malgudi, a South Indian town, fictional though, but it is presented as a microcosm of the cosmos, and the life, its people, its working of the people, all these have been there throughout the nation. So indeed, even the Indian struggle of independence has been acquired, and their tumults, strikes, boycotts, lathi charges, all these things are there in this novel. Now, depiction of typical Indian school. You know, Swami and Friends is an incredible classic of schoolboy fiction. And they are not like the schoolboy of Western model. They are typical Indian schoolboys. They are dreamers, dread researchers. They are poking fun at each other. They are bullying each other. They are doing, or they are engaging themselves in so many nuisances, and for which they have been scolded by their elders sometimes. So all these things are there. Now the storyteller in Indian tradition, here also we have found a storyteller. Granny is a storyteller, like all typical other Indian stories. In Kantapur we have found also Achakka, a great storyteller. Indian family ties also there. Here the joint family has been presented before us. Mother, father, granny, all of them are tied with each other, both emotionally, heartily. So religious and superstitious people, presence of religion and superstition. India is a land of mystery and muddle, and it's a land of religions and superstition. So the characters like Swami, Granny, etc., they are involved in superstitions and they believe in superstitions. Now he had used so many Indian languages, typical Indian imagery and vocabulary. So by analyzing all these things, we can call that it is a typical Indian novel where R.K. Narayan has portrayed the Indianness. Now, the last topic that I would like to discuss can call Swami and Friends as a Bildung Roma. By Bildung Roma, we mean that it is a novel of growth or coming age of novel. So the novel Swami and Friends presents a clear elements of Bildung Roman, even though it covers relatively a very short span of time. But the structure of the novel clearly marks the shift very innocent childhood to the anxious experience of the growth of a child or growth of a group of children. So the episodic first chapter, paralleling the detached life of the children, turned into a linear narrative exploring the psychological growth of the protagonists. So the story of Swami unfolds in such a manner, and we have seen that in the course of the novel, Swami and he has transformed, he has been metamorphosed rather from an innocent boy to an experienced boy. So all these episodes combine to shape Sami's consciousness, his identity, etc. So by this we can call this that it is a Bildung Roma or coming age of novel. Thank you for listening me for such a long time. So it's over to you, Rahulda. And if you have any query, then you can ask me regarding this, regarding today's discussion. Okay, thank you all.
Thank you, Professor Maity, for your beautiful lecture. I think we have a question from Ankita Saha. Our question is, can we compare the childhood time with pre-lapsarian stage?
Yes,
And
obviously. Yes,
uh,
Ankita, you are right that pre-lapsarian stage, it is the state of childhood, state of innocence, as we have seen in in Blake's Songs of Innocence, where Lamb has been described in such a manner, such a status. So Swami and his boyhood activities are pre-rapsarian at the first, but towards the end of the novel, we have seen that Swami has experienced much, gathered much. He has roamed into the worlds of the adults. He has taken part in in the Indian struggle movement, in political scenario of India. So from innocence to experience, he has converted. So from pre-lapsarian to post-lapsarian, we can also discuss this in this way. You can also call this in this way. Okay.
we
Uh,
have another question from Vishwanath Bandyopadhyay, and his question is, how does the author play with both myth and realism in the construction of the narrative?
yes, this is a very interesting question. In the construction of the narrative, the writer or the novelist R.K. Narayan has very he's a minute observer of life, and very interestingly, he has amalgamated both myth and realism. Myth of childhood, how a child would react, myth of a father, a typical Indian father, how a father will react to a son's mishaps or misunderstanding, etc. And what will be the actual reaction to the child or the father, etc. So myth regarding school, myth regarding a father, myth regarding a typical boy, all these things have been amalgamated in this very particular novel, and in a very crafty manner, in a very interesting manner, the novelist had constructed this his narrative. Thank you for this very interesting question.
I will ask other students also to ask Professor Maity if you have any question. You can ask both in English or in Bengali, right?
Yes.
If you have any doubt regarding anything, you can ask the questions, right?
I have a question to Professor Maity regarding the ending scene of this novel, because it ends on an ambiguous note, and we can find that it doesn't end on a conventional way. So, what is your take on the ending of the novel? Is it in keeping with the modernist temper of a novel? Because we can see that E.M. Foster, in his aspects of the novel, said that novel tells a story, and I wish that it should not. And he gives an analogy of the music, because he said that music in its finality achieves a kind of rhythm that is not closing off but expansion. So, do you think that this novel actually expands at the end of the text and not closing off? So, how would you look at the closure of this text?
Yes, very interesting observation, Doipanda. You know that it is an open-ended novel, as you have all rightly mentioned about the aspects of novel by E.M. Foster. So, if the closure is as expected as the readers, then it would not be a great work. So, there might be some stuff of our thinking, the germ for the next creation, and this is what exactly has done in this very particular novel. Not in this novel, in the guide also you have seen, the guide also have ended in a very ambiguous manner. What happens to whether the rain would come or not? So we are in a very we are as if we are waiting for the next episode, what would come in the next. So in this way, Swami and friend also ends, and it's very interesting, and it has also given us some food for thought, what will happen. And another thing for the reader, that reader can also imagine, reader can also think in his own manner how the next relationship between the friends will go in what direction, etc. So I think this is my point of observation.
Thank you so much. If anyone has any other question, can feel free to ask. You can put it in the chat box, or you can unmute yourself and ask directly to the teacher. Anyone, students or scholars? So it was really an insightful lecture. Professor Maity has talked about the different aspects of the novel, ranging from the issue of colonialism, putting the novel in the post-colonial matrix, as well as the exploration of child psychology, and the kind of the various issues, like the kind of symbol of cricket, which the novelist has beautifully integrated into the texture of this novel. So it was a wonderful session to have you among us, and we look forward to have you again in future for our next SEM students, for fourth SEM or second SEM students. We would like to invite you again in future. It was very student friendly, lucid, yet scholarly and insightful, and it creates a kind of lots of kind of dimensions for students, which they can explore later, which can help them to probe deeply into the text and understand the deeper issues that R.K. Narayan has presented so gracefully. So thank you, Professor Maity, and I would ask Rahulda to say something. And
Thank you all. I feel honored. I don't know whether I am worthy of such kind words or not. Okay, Rahul, okay.
Okay. I think one announcement that we have our next lecture at 3 p.m. Uh, the announcement had been already done. Uh, I think uh, students and scholars, I believe that you will also participate in that lecture also. And thank you, Professor Maity, for your beautiful lecture, insightful lecture as well, and for the various aspects of the novel as well as Indian writing in English, which you have mentioned.